Greetings. Hopefully you're a champion and you're not counting on this game because, boy, it's a doozy. But, yeah, we have fun for 49ers Lions. If you have people going against you today, I wish you the best of luck because you might get obliterated. I don't know. I'll tell you. It's that. It's myself, it's Jeremy, doing our Believe It or Not recap, Week 17 edition. Could be our last recap. We will see if we're going to do Week 18 or not because all the chaos going on next week, all players out. But that is neither here nor there. Jeremy, how are you doing today? How was your weekend for fantasy?
Yeah, it was good. Not so bad in terms of the percentage. 3 championships. I got 1 locked up, 1 locked down in a bad way. I'm out big. 1, I'm up 70 points, but I'm facing Goff, Purdy, Kittle, and Jennings tonight. I'm projected to win by like 7 points. So we'll see. Hopefully the 49ers have a slightly down game. Kittle happens to be my tight end 1 this week. So I don't know. Not super confident, but we'll see. It's definitely possible. But 2 out of 3. Hey, I went to 8 finals last year in like 24 leagues, and I only won 2 of them. I went to 3 finals. I have the opportunity to win 2 of them this year. So, same, I guess. But it's been a weird year. How about you? How'd you do?
Yeah, last year I won 5 championships. I don't think I'm gonna hit that. I think I'm at 4 this year. The semifinals were brutal. It was just left and right losses across the board. 4 of my best teams go down, just get obliterated. And I was like, well, this might not be the year, but we're putting up a good finish to Scott Fishbowl. We could win a couple, so we got a couple players going tonight. I'm excited to see. They should win, but it's fantasy football. We don't know what's gonna happen, folks. Gibbs could get injured in the second play, and then you know what? There goes your season. So we will see.
Before we get into it, break down your Scott Fish and what you're looking at for tonight.
Yeah, so I'm looking right now. My team has, where are we at? I'm in 25th place. We have 195.4 points. We're 71 back of the champ. Actually, the guy in 3rd place is, if you don't know, he's at FF_pancake. It's Lewis Wood. He has Gibbs going tonight, so he's pretty much locked into winning the championship. I have Gibbs and Garendo, so I can get myself in the top 10, which I would be more than happy and thrilled with it. But I cannot catch the top guy. So overall, we will see how those guys do. If they do really well, I can push the top 10. I'll take time to finish. I didn't expect nothing. First year of the playoffs, I'm all about it. So it's been a very fun time. If everyone, you're following this, you know all about Scott Fishbowl, so we don't need to talk too much about it. If you don't know about it, I don't know where you've been. Just check it out. But let's shall we jump into the fun recap of Week 17? What do you say?
Let's do it, man.
All right. So those that remember, there are freaking games basically every day this week, starting with Wednesday. We will go back to the Chiefs and Steelers, and that was bloodbath. The Chiefs look butt hack, baby. Mahomes and Kelsey kicking in the playoff mode. Yeah, the Steelers really it does not look like they are on par with the Chiefs, and that showed up very much in this game. And I was saying this earlier on our Sit Start show. Hollywood Brown has made a massive difference for this team. He opens up things for them underneath, and they just get to do whatever they want. You look at it, Mahomes with 26 fantasy points. My goodness. Kareem Hunt even got a touchdown in there. We can talk about Pacheco and how just much of a non-factor he has been since he's been back, and if that changes in the playoffs. But the key addition is Hollywood Brown and then Xavier Worthy stepping forward. 8 receptions, 9 targets, 79 yards, touchdown. Your boy Travis Kelce was referenced there. 8 receptions, 84 yards, a touchdown. This team looks like it is running to the championship. My question to you is, do they have any competition in the AFC? Is there anyone that can beat them, do you think, at this point?
Yes, it's the team that already beat them. It's the Bills. I don't think Baltimore has that for whatever reason. The offense is still somewhat limited. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the magic every single night. He's still MVP caliber without that magic. We've seen it. He still might be the MVP, but I think the MVP probably and rightfully goes to Josh Allen. That's the team that can beat this team. And their defense has been stepping up of late. They have the pieces there, both young and old, especially up front, to really make life difficult for Patrick Mahomes. They beat him already. The only problem is this game is going to be an Arrowhead. So that's going to be a consideration. Home field advantage in the playoffs with the Chiefs in playoff mode. The Bills are the only ones who have a chance, I think.
Yeah, we've seen Josh Allen play basically as good a football you could play and lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's really just we all know the 13 seconds and all that fun stuff that happened years ago. With this Bills team, to your point, I think they're a very good team. They're young. But it's going to take a little – someone's going to step forward offensively because the ghost of Amari Cooper has risen. So who knows? Maybe he comes back, maybe something else. we'll see. But yeah, they look like the favorite. If not, they're like the 1B. For Pittsburgh, yeah, it's just not great. Like they're a couple tiers below. I mean, George Pickens was back in this game. He wasn't fully healthy. You can kind of tell he's fighting through stuff. He did okay. Fryermuth, but like this offense just struggled to generate much of anything. I will say Jalen Warren, which we talked about being the more guy to play, did have a decent game. He had 13 fantasy points. Russell Wilson did some things. He gave you 17, but overall, it's kind of just like, well, they went against the Chiefs. They didn't have a lot, and just clearly were just overmatched offensively. So, kind of the limitations of this offense. What do you think this team does in the offseason? I think that's what I'm more interested in because they have Pickens, but they need another weapon desperately. So bad. With Najee Harris being a free agent as well, I think there's going to be some changes. What do you think kind of they go about kind of fixing this offense and improving it?
Yeah, well, on the defensive side, they're set. We know they're set and solid year round. And they went out and got Peyton Wilson, one of the best linebackers in the draft. That was a good pick. But they followed that up. I forget who went first, but they were close to each other. They got another Wilson, Roman Wilson. He hasn't seen the damn field this year. We've had injury. We've had ineffectiveness. He's healthy now, I believe, by all accounts. And he's a nothing burger. So that's a failure. The issue here is weapons. We need a free agent weapon. We probably need another running back in this stable because Najee, Jalen Warren, and then I guess Cordero Patterson or whoever else could be considered RB3 here is not nearly enough. And then you probably need 2 pass catching weapons. You have to draft a big time wide receiver. There aren't a ton of them, but I think the Steelers really need to go after that. And then they probably need to fortify the offensive line. This should be a mostly, if not all, offensive draft for the Steelers. And you got to get 1 or 2 big name free agent guys. That way, Russell Wilson can be effective. But with just George Pickens, with just Freiermuth, Wilson isn't the guy who's putting the team on his back anymore. He used to be that guy. Now he's the distributor. Problem is he's got no one to distribute to.
Yeah, and to your point, both Harris and Najee are free agents this offseason. So that running back room is like, hey, we got Cordero Patterson. Like, it's like, as much as I like CPAT, the greatest kick returner of all time, and I say this just because kick returning ability, he's by far the best. But running back, so they're going to add pieces. That's going to be interesting. So that's Pittsburgh. We kind of know the deficiency of Pittsburgh. You watch them play, you're like, they're close. They have pieces. They're still a couple steps away. So hopefully they improve that next year and they make a push for the AFC Championship. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe they could do it. Our second game was probably even more disappointing of Christmas Day. Houston is just a disaster right now. They went up against Baltimore and Lamar, and my goodness, Lamar and Henry were basically what was told to us in the offseason, like what we thought this was going to be. That was this offense. Everyone else took a step back in this game because it was like, why are we going to pass to anybody? We don't need to pass. We will just run over your face and, as Marshawn Lynch famously said, run a motherfucker, hit him in the face, and just over and over again. That's what they did. Derrick Henry is just absolutely unstoppable. I think he's at almost 1,800 yards. Who knows? They playoff seeding is decided, so we'll see if they're going to play players like for the next week's game. I don't know if they're going to or not. I would like to see him push 2,000 yards again. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, what was your takeaway from this game with like Lamar and Henry just doing their thing that they've done all year?
Yeah, winter has come. Winter was coming. Winter is coming. Winter has come. Derrick Henry, the king, lives. He's, king of the North yet again. The Baltimore Ravens are a fantastic team. If there is a third team in this race in the AFC, it's Baltimore. We know they can go nuclear any given time. And if Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson continue to be able to run like this, if the defense continues to be able to limit offenses in the playoffs like this. I mean, Houston's no slouch. I know they're having their issues on offense, but they're 9-7 with this loss. They're a decent team. CJ Stroud, for all his struggles and everything, not bad, but 2 points is ridiculous. Yeah, you love to see it. You want to see Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers more involved. Their talent is worthy of more involvement, but when you got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson back there, you just don't need it.
Yeah, like Houston's EPA per play is like 20th, 21st in the NFL. It's not good. They're clearly, you watch them play in this game and everything just looked difficult. Nothing was easy. Yeah. They're more than likely going to move on from the offense coordinator because what he has continued to do is try to drown Joe Mixon into the ground. And it's really limiting that offense on first downs. Like Mixon's been good for fantasy, like NFL wise, it's not so great. He's still barely over 4 yards a carry. His yards per like receptions are not great either. Like he's been the bell cow, everything you need for fantasy. NFL wise, it's been Nico. Nothing else has clicked. Unfortunately, the Tank Dell injury looked like he was coming on. So yeah, I don't want to say it's a lost season for Houston, but it's very much a disappointing season because Stroud has regressed immensely, and that's the biggest concern moving forward. So overall, we'll see. They need to fix some stuff out. They're going to probably make some changes. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what they do. That wide receiver room is basically just Nico and nobody else because Diggs is free agent. Dell is likely not coming back. So yeah, going to be a long offseason in Houston. Hopefully they restructure and get it figured out because you got to have Stroud doing this thing because he looks worse than he did last year. So hopefully they fix that moving on.
For sure.
For our next game, we can talk about, just another ugly offensive game. My Seahawks and the Chicago Bears. What in the world was this game? No one could score offense. It was a disaster. Hey, if you like defense, this game is for you. But this is a fantasy football show. No one likes defense. So, unfortunately, it's what it is. We had Walker miss the game. Charbonnet was okay. He did kind of the volume thing. Just did not live up to expectations. Geno Smith really didn't do much of anything. I will say the offense, the wide receivers on both sides of the ball, they really let us down. I thought Chicago could maybe get some stuff going on, but there's not too much to write home about this game for either one of these teams. Neither team, the Seahawks miss the playoffs now. They're not going to make the playoffs either. So the teams will make the playoffs. So I guess for these two teams, what are your kind of takeaway from maybe this week or this season as a whole? Because it just leaves a lot of question marks in the air with these two teams.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as Houston, who we just talked about, scored 2 points, and Seahawks who scored 6. The offensive lines here are atrocious. They need to sort that out. Now, you have everything else in place, theoretically. I know Houston needs more pieces, but, Seattle could use another pass catcher as well, especially maybe a top-tier tight end. That would be interesting, whether through free agency or maybe they develop Barner. Maybe they look for Loveland in the draft as well and just, completely solidify that. But whatever happens, the offense is in place for kind of both of these teams to work around. The problem has been the offensive line. So they really need to address that and solidify that. I'd love to see them with the first round pick go after an offensive lineman. If there isn't one good enough at their pick, they're not going to know that. But free agency, I don't even know the O lineman in free agency at the moment, but there's a lot of teams that really need to go out and sign whoever the hell is available immediately. And this is one of them.
Yeah, like where the Seahawks are falling in the NFL draft, it's going to be outside usually the elite tackles. The thing is, the tackles are their best spots. They need to interior. They need guard play out of the wazoo. Their center, who they got Connor Williams from Miami, he basically is just done. His entire career is basically done. So they lost him. He's over. So basically the entire interior. And the nice thing about that is it's much easier to get those guys in the draft. You can make that happen. For Chicago, they're going to have a new head coach. They're going to have a new offensive coordinator. I think this is the 4th consecutive year Caleb Williams has a new offensive play, something going on where it's not the same guy. And going back to Oklahoma, it's always switched for him. So he needs some solidity, stability to build up because he's doing a lot of the negatives and he's trying to be Superman all the time. And it's really showing this problem where you're not Lamar Jackson. You're not this super freak athlete. As much as a good player you are, you're getting hit a lot. You're getting sacked. You're having problems. And so he needs to kind of tighten up, learn how to get rid of the ball, go with the offensive coordinator who basically can help him grow and go from there. There's still a lot to work with. The offensive skill players are there. Rome's there. Keenan's gone, but you have Rome, you have DJ Moore, you have pieces to build with. Cole Kmet's solid NFL tight end. They have the pieces. To your point, offensive line. We're building it look like a much better year in 2025. Will it happen? I don't know, but you need someone to kind of work with Caleb to kind of shorten up those deficiencies, work on the positive.
And this is where, when we do the work of the new head coach and new offensive coordinator hires, this is going to be important. We loved it for Seattle. JSN was my biggest buy of the offseason. We talked about this offense and how much we love Seattle and bought into them. Unfortunately, they failed you in championship week, but for the most part, DK had it going early, JSN late. Geno was pretty solid all season, and they were steals in the draft at where they were going. Caleb Williams is going to be that guy for me this offseason. He's going to be a massive buy for me, assuming and provided that they get a proper OC and head coach in Chicago. I will be watching that situation very closely.
Yeah, Ben Johnson's already said he's had interest in that job. No surprise because it's Caleb Williams, right? You see the talent, you're if it's going to be, the community is going to be oh my gosh. So you kind of want to get out in front of that ahead.
No.
So if anybody, which it's still going to be expensive to buy him, but he's cheaper than he was, right? So you could buy him. If you didn't get Jaden Daniels, you know what? You missed out. It's okay. You still have really good pieces there. If you want to do the Drake May thing, you can do the Drake May thing. We'll get that a little bit. But yeah, there's potential there. Speaking of Drake May, they went up against the Chargers, and my goodness, aren't you glad to see me, baby? Because boy, oh boy, Ladd and Herbert, that is a fun connection.
Yes.
Yeah, your Patriots took my boy Jalen Polk instead of freaking Lad McConkey. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why we did that. I was surprised as much as I like Jalen Polk. I was like, don't take him above Lad. That was bold.
The hell.
Yeah, so they get to see firsthand how good Lad McConkey was and how much of a difference maker he's going to be for a long time.
Yeah.
With that said, the list of wide receivers outside of Lad, Palmer's a free agent. Quentin Johnson's just not dependable. Darius Davis is like they need people. Like you're seeing these offenses that are good. Like the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a wild card team. They're good. They're solid. They got Dobbins. The offensive, like the line's been pretty good, but those wide receivers you need to add a little bit to their tight end rooms. Just basically a motley crew. Stone Smart, Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst, all of these guys, and they figure that out. But yeah, you're counting on Herbert to be Superman. It's worth the majority of the time. But sometimes when they get matched up and teams do their best to kind of take away Lad, it exposes the deficiencies of this offense. So
yeah,
I'm curious to see how they do in the playoffs, but they are built for this ground and pound playoff football where, team shifts. So I'm excited to see it and see how they do. I think they're locked into the playoffs, so I don't know if they're going to play the Bears or not, but Harbaugh seems like that type of guy. He wants to play guys. He does not want to rest guys.
True.
So they're going to go out and play week 18. So if you have them week 18, I think you're excited to play.
Yeah, and I would just say moving forward, look, I don't think they have a chance up against these three juggernauts, but they could surprise. This is a team that could surprise in the playoffs. Fine, 40 points on the Patriots, not a huge feat, but they looked great. One thing I will say about 2025 is this team needs to draft 2 running backs. I know you got J.K. Dobbins. You need to draft 2 and hope that one of them is the guy, and draft 2 high running backs. You got everything else in place. Go get or you can get a running back in free agency and draft one. I don't care. Yes. Get 2 running backs. Get yourself another pass catcher. Smart looks really good. Dissly, those 2 guys can run it back next year. And then, like you said, maybe Palmer. QJ is not a bad 3 who can be used sparingly, but they need a solid 1A or 1B, depending on who they can get in free agency.
Yeah, and like to your point, Dobbins was signed for basically nothing. He's a free agent. So this running back room is just not guys we're excited for. Like they would open the doors open for Kamani Vidal, Gus Edwards. They've all kind of disappointed or just been nothing. So it's basically showed how good J.K. Dobbins is. So that's that running back room.
Yeah,
bringing more quality pieces. So you're not dependent on Dobbins, who's dealt with significant injuries this entire season, right? He's been playing through them, and he missed like a month of the season. And he came back, played off 50% snaps, did good for you. For your Patriots, what's going to happen this offseason? Because I feel like there's going to be so much change. At this point, everyone has turned on the head coach. I feel like he's just walking out the door. Like it's basically just over for him. Some of the offseason stuff's just brutal. I mean, Scott, like the Chargers Ravens, that is going to be good luck to the Chargers because the Ravens are a force, and that is deficiencies. Good luck. They'll put up a good fight, but they're not going to beat the Ravens. Unfortunately, the Ravens are just better at what they do than the Chargers. So yeah, that's a good one. For your Patriots, since you are the Patriots guy, they are your team. What do you think is going to happen this offseason? Where do you think they go? Is there any pieces that you're excited about moving forward offensively outside of Drake May?
No. Ramondre Stevenson, 2 carries, 1 yard, effectively benched in this game. They came out early before the game and said Antonio Gibson's going to be our starter. All of that's fine, except for the fact that in the offseason you decided it was a good idea to give Ramondre this ridiculous contract out of nowhere. I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing. Keyshawn Boutte looks great. All right. So I think we've got a solid wide receiver 3. Demario Douglas is fine. We've got a solid wide receiver 4. If we open it up in the next 2 years for Drake May and those guys stick around, they can play. We still need a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 on this team. If that's the case, Hunter Henry can be used sparingly, but he's not fantasy viable. So yeah, Drake May's great. Go get NFL quality offensive linemen because you have 0, and also get yourself 2 pass catchers. You'll run back Ramondre for a season, and then you can get running back late, and you'll address running back kind of next season. But go ahead and let Drake May sling it in his second year, another lost season, so that by year 3, you can start to ramp it up and figure it out.
How you feel about this? The Kraft wants Mayo to stay.
I think it's fine because they have nothing. They have nothing going on next season. They have no chance. So yeah, let him stay. See if he can turn the ship around. If he can't, fine. I don't care. But yeah, go after T. Higgins and go trade down a few picks and draft it. We were arguing about this with Joe O'Leary in the chat earlier today. Trade down to the 4 or the 5, wherever the Giants end up. Give them the number 1 pick and the quarterback. Get yourself a second rounder, maybe a couple seconds, whatever. you can get because you need more pot shots, and then take the best wide receiver available. It will be either Hunter or Tet. I want Tet. Joe wants Hunter. We're both Pats fans. Whatever. You know, I don't care, but solidify that and then go get T. Higgins. You got T, you got Tet, or whoever in the draft. All of a sudden, this offense can function, and then, you know, get some linemen too.
The problem with the T. Higgins discourse is there's about 15 NFL teams that are going to be like, "Ooh, we want T. Higgins too." So, and also since he can just freaking tag T. Higgins, that's like the biggest part of this whole thing, right? Where they could just be like, put the tag on him, which crazy. I know, which it sets up to screw NFL players. This is the whole situation that does this. You see this all the time. It sucks. This is why I think they should go get Deontay Johnson. He's going to be dirt cheap. He's a quality NFL wide receiver. He's fucking massive upgrade over what they have in the wide receiver. Now he's a head case, so you have to deal with that. I don't know. Yeah, what you need is like you just want to develop Drake May in year 2. I think that's the process, right? You show him the skill set, you build the pieces around him. The offensive line too, like we need to work on the offensive line as well too. So it's like, yeah, it's a work in progress. Hopefully, then this year turns around where it's forward progress. We look towards a quality NFL team, move forward to year 3, like you said. That's the goal. If you do that, I think you nailed it. It'd be good to see. Let's go to our next game and talk about these. Yeah, we'll see. That's all we can hope for, right? Denver, Marvin the Martian, aka Marvin Mims, looking like Gabe Davis 2.0, having his breakout game in the playoffs. Yeah. If you could sell Marvin Mims, sell him for anything. But yeah, Bo Nix looking. I know. Okay, that throw from Bo Nix was the most air yards like an NFL completion the entire season, which is nuts because no one was talking about Bo Nix's arm strength. That was absolutely unleashed cannon. But if you look at his throw chart, everything was short line scrimmage, and then there's just a missile downfield. So it showed you what he was doing this entire game. Yeah, I knew everyone says he's a gamer. I'm like, yeah, completely agree. Courtland Sutton did his thing once again. Tight end room's just like a walking, just no thank you in Denver. But the running backs were okay, kind of split room. I don't know what they're going to do with this running back room. It's just chaos. You can't trust anyone for fantasy. It's really hard to trust anyone for the NFL team too as well. But they put up a good fight, man. They fought. I think they have a driver's seat for the playoffs. They might get there. They might not. I'm not sure. There's a lot.
They have to win.
So I'm not sure who they play next week. I can check this as I stumble through it.
It might be KC.
Oh gosh, it's KC. Yeah. So
yeah, but they're sitting Mahomes. They've already said so. There's a chance.
They've won without Mahomes in the past 2. I know they had lost Mahomes in the playoffs against Cleveland, and they still won that game. I can't remember who it was. It was some scrub backup quarterback. Wentz. Well, you got Carson Wentz, baby. So maybe you get Wentz, maybe you don't. We don't need to talk too much about that. Let's just talk about the Bengals and how glorious this offense is. Joe Burrow, man, give this guy some defense. This guy's playing out of control. I don't know what to do. I'd be so pissed. 4,600 yards, 42 touchdowns. Like, what do you want this man to do? What do you want this man to do? He can't do anything else. Like, yeah. Chase Brown got injured and did a weird, like that whole ankle injury thing was a disaster. I don't know if he was trying to score, if he wasn't. But he went down at the goal line, got his ankle twisted up. So who knows if he plays in week 18, if you have him or not. I would probably count otherwise. But yeah, it was a T. Higgins show, man. T. Higgins did what we hoped Jamar Chase would do. They both were really good. Jamar Chase still had 100 yards, 9. These two guys are studs. I don't know how since he lets him go. That's the problem. Because if you lose, we've seen this offense without T. Higgins, it falls apart. Like you're so dependent on Jamar Chase at the point. Like, and they don't really have other pieces. Like Jermaine Burton's not really been a thing this year. He's a head case as well. Not really working through it. The Gritty King, Mike Gesicki, showed up with 10 receptions. I don't know where this came from, Mike Gesicki, but AO. Yeah, they're they like we talk about teams going offensively. Cincy should be an all defensive draft. Like just everything on your defense because it is abysmal. You have basically the sack champ, nothing else. Yeah, it's set up great. This is the ideal fantasy run out. So congrats to anybody that went all in on things because it worked really well for you.
Yeah. Except in my fantasy championship in my home dynasty league where I was in first place, got the bye. I played my good friend in second place who I chat fantasy with all the time. I played Burrow and T. He played Burrow and T against me. I played the 2 chases here, and it couldn't have gone worse for me with the 3 touchdowns for Higgins. It's just how it runs out sometimes. But Burrow is an animal. He should win the MVP, to be honest. The problem is his defense is so bad, he cannot overcome how bad they've been. And, the MVP really should go to the most valuable player. The only way that this team wins more than 2 games is because of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, like Burrow's been dope. It's crazy how good he's been. Like if you want to go for EPA per play, Burrow's not like the weird thing for EPA per play is the Russian guys get a massive advantage to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But Burrow's right there with like Goff really doing incredible stuff, doing all those things. We have Tua playing really well, and then Jaden Daniels. Like he's in that top tier. If you go passing EPA, it's a different story. Obviously, Joe Burrow goes basically where Josh Allen is. So he's been awesome. You can make the case for him MVP if you wanted to. It's just so it sucks when you have bad defense, man. The team's judge wins, and 8-8. This reminds me of like MLB when Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young, and everyone was shocked. They were like, "Oh, he's got like 12 wins, right?" And I was like, "Have you seen that offense they have? Abysmal." Don't get me started on the Seahawks' the Bears' lack of offense the last 25 years. It's been a disaster. But yeah,
just real quick before we exit this game, I want to put to bed any sort of hope for Audric Estime. I want to put to bed any sort of hope for Jermaine Burton. Burton could come on if T goes, but it's going to be a year or two. Yoshivas is better at this point in his career. Chase Brown's proven to be a workhorse. So I'm not betting on either of these guys. Estimate, no chance. McLaughlin looks way better than he does, and I think they need to bring it back over both of those guys. And Burton, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, and like Javonte Williams is a free agent. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like he's
maybe
he locks it somewhere. Like yeah, it's just with these. So these guys that don't break out or do much of anything as rookies, you should almost always sell them. Now there's a couple of cases like the JSN's different because he's a high pedigree guy and he was okay. He wasn't terrible, but we're talking like this range of player. I just estimate if you can get a third for someone that wants them, just sell them for that. You're better off 99% of the time selling these guys for whatever you get. This includes Jermaine Burton because he has. Let me check. Do you know how many yards he has this year receiving wise? It is really
127.
Oh, you're too high. He has 107 on the season. So like, yeah, like that's just so bad. The perfect run out for him, right? Like they had T. Higgins dealing injury half the year. He's walking in pajamas to a freaking casino trying to gamble instead of a game. Like that just shows you where this guy is at. So maybe he screws his head on. He has all the talent in the world. That's the one thing that's going to allure people. I think you could trade him if T. Higgins moves on. There's going to be a massive buy or sell window for him. We could sell for a lot, but we'll get that later.
And to your point on JSN, we know who this offseason's JSN is. It's your boy. Who is it?
I'm blanking on it. You're gonna have to tell me because I have no idea.
It's Roma Dunze. It's Roma.
Oh, there it is. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I could have got there. Maybe 20.
He's the guy, and Shane Waldron was to blame as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Roma Dunze this offseason goal in.
Yeah, do it quickly because it's going to shift, particularly when Keenan Allen gets sort of like let go and he doesn't get brought back till it comes out. So that is going to change. But yeah, like you could see when these young players that are good situations holding them back. Yeah, it's there. Go buy Roma Dunze. Like we don't need to talk about that too much. Our next,
yes.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely.
If he's playing, you should play him.
He's
like,
playing.
Yeah, like you don't want to get too cute with some of these things, right? If the team tells you they're going to play the guy, treat them as normal. Unless we get information that it's like, oh, we're going to play him a half, whatever. If they just come out, it's normal game. We're gonna because they're trying to get Saquon the rushing record, like the NFL,
which is 100 yards. He needs 100
yards.
That's
the key thing.
He'll get
so
it.
He might get subbed out after he gets that. That's fine.
Yep.
You still got 100 yards, right? Saquon just dope. That offense is fantastic. Even without freaking Jalen Hurts, it's been awesome. Yeah, be careful with projections. It's really early in the week. That will shift. I think projections are basically thinking like that type of scenario. Just give it a couple days. Thankfully, we don't have any games till Thursday, so like we have time this week. We don't have like straight shot like right away, so we have a bit of time. But yeah, we'll do like some sit start stuff. Yeah, and Eagle, he can go off in the first half. Yeah, with that, I'm much more worried about the AJ Browns of the world and those guys because that game could get out of hand quickly. It's nice. We'll talk about this with Eagles with Kenny Pickett, like how good it is for the wide receiver, aka AJ Brown. It's like it's just better set up for him. Like, this is what it is. Let's go to our next game. Talk about Arizona and the Rams. You want to talk about another disappointing offensive games? My goodness. Yeah, my post here is the second disappointing Harrison. That's the president, the guy that had the shortest presidency in history, William Henry Harrison. And Marvin Harrison, you are number 2, my friend. Figure it the fuck out. He's been fine, but he should have been so much better. Like he has 822 yards here. It's been fine, but expectations can be the death of anyone. They have killed Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's wide receiver 32 on the season. Not been very good. When you flip that on the guy on the other side of the room, Puka Nacua, where they were talking about him over him in Dynasty, and I was like, we know this guy's really good. What are we doing? You went Puka instead of Marvin Harrison, you were loving life. If you took Marvin Harrison over Puka, you're like, this sucks. So I guess for Arizona, what do you think happens to them? Because it's been a season of really like ebbs and flows where they've been good, they've been bad, they've been all across the board. You look at the end of the game, Kyler had 321 yards, a touchdown, looks solid, but like if you watch this game, it was a slugfest. They could not do what they needed to do. They only got 9 points. There was a key turnover. They could have won the game. He threw it to McBride. McBride was not ready. Hit him in the back of the dome. Interception. They lost the game. Like there's just stuff like that all season for them. So I don't know where they go because they're 7-9. They're already out of the playoffs. What do you think happens with this team this offseason, and where do you think they go from
here? Yeah, well, Drew Petzing, whoever that is the offensive coordinator of the Cardinals. He's been gone. He should have been gone last year. I don't know why he had the job. But you need to bring in a legitimate offensive coordinator. The problem is legitimate offensive coordinators do not like Kyler Murray's, right? You can accept a Lamar Jackson, a Jaden Daniels, and work with that because those guys have absolute cannons. And they run around and they're faster than everybody on the field. Kyler Murray is not always faster than everybody on the field because his strides are shorter, legitimately. And also, he has to roll outside the pocket so he can see the field properly in a lot of cases. So it's really a struggle for him. Can he do it? Yes, he does it routinely. The problem is he doesn't fit into these offenses where they want to make him fit. So they need to design this offense more around him, and they need to bring in someone who can do that. It's proven that the offensive coordinators that have been there can't do that. Now, is Kyler Murray going to ascend if that happens? I don't know. But Arizona needs to do a better job they're stuck with Kyler for now. They need to do a better job of just designing this around his strengths. Give him maybe a short area, Josh Downs, Jaden Reed type guy.
Yes,
Greg, I know that Greg Dortch has been that group, but Greg Dortch is not
good.
As elite as those guys, right? And so you can give him one of those guys who can drag across the field. You can give him a legitimate pass catching weapon out of the backfield as well. And just help him design some of those plays to maximize his skill set because they haven't been doing that for him for years.
Yeah, if you take away Marvin Harrison, this might be the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. It's Michael Wilson, it's Greg Dortch, it's freaking the ghost of Zay Jones. Like
Zay Jones.
They went in expecting Marvin Harrison to be the guy to elevate that offense. He's clearly not. So you have to find a piece. And to your point, I think they need to find an offensive coordinator that will dive into kind of what Kyler specializes in instead of kind of finding this middle ground because you basically want to treat him like Russell Wilson, like you did peak Russell Wilson for the Seahawks, where you could do that. You could use him that way because they have a lot of similarities. He still has that playmaking ability that Russell Wilson no longer has, right? So if you get him outside the pocket, you roll, you do play action, you do these things that work well with him, but you have to give him pieces, man. I know people didn't like the Seahawks wide receivers, but like Doug Baldwin was a very good NFL wide receiver. They had Jermaine Kearse, they had these guys that could do stuff, right? But if you're counting on Kyler to completely carry off, because they threw it 48 times in the game, like that's just where you get tough. And you're looking at the wide receiver room, you're like, James Conner has been really good this year. It did not work out this game. Like he injured his knee, so we'll see how he moves forward. But yeah, like it's been the Trey McBride show. Outside of that, Marvin Harrison has like kind of up and downs. There's just a lot to be left on the bone, I will say. I think Kyler's probably going to be my premium buy once again because people are so done with him. It's there for fantasy to still have the upside. I will say that. So yeah, Kyler announcing it as my upside buy. To the Rams, Puka is just a special human, man. If he didn't have that 5th round draft capital attached to his name, he would be like the dynasty wide receiver one, pretty much. Like that's where it would be. Cooper Kupp, where'd you go, my friend? Cooper Kupp just disappeared this entire playoffs. Like we don't know what's going on. Maybe he's injured, maybe he's not. If he's dealing with injury, would have been nice to know. Because you started Kupp, he killed you every week of the fantasy football playoffs. 0, 3.9, 3.4 fantasy points. Combined, what was that? 7.3? That's just abysmal. But yeah, this offense, Kyron's been fine. He's been really, was he top 6 running back?
Good.
So he's been really
RB7
good,
this week. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. Cooper, wide receiver 36. So yeah, there's the difference of the two of them. I don't know what they're gonna do with Cooper Kupp. Like he's been fine. He's just, I don't know. It's tough to figure out the offense. They need to do something because it's got to get a little bit better. Like Stafford's been playing out of his mind, but that offensive line's abysmal. Like they need to structure that because you can't win this. So it's similar situation to Seattle. Work it around, build from there, and go from there because they have the pieces, man. They got Kyron, they got all these guys. They Blake Corum if you needed him, but yeah, it's just not good. It's Puka Nacua. That's it, man. You found yourself a generational wide receiver. Congrats.
Puka Nacua. I love Puka. Kyron Williams. I saw some victory laps on Kyron Williams. He's been fine. And pretty good, but because he's scoring touchdowns, he's getting there in volume. I don't think Kyron Williams is this exceptional wide receiver, but I will say he stayed or running back, but I will say he stays healthy. right?
Yes.
And so that's really kind of his best attribute, is that he's able to take a heavy workload. He's been taking it all season long, no exception last week, even though just 13 carries in this game. He still got there for your RB7 on the week. So yeah, you could ride him, but he's an RB2. He's no RB1 for you. He's an RB2, even though technically he's the RB7 on the year.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just pure volume. So
yeah, I mean, he's freaking averaging 22 and a 2.5 opportunities a game. Like, that's absurd usage for. He's not a big back. Like, so people are worried he might break down. I get it 100%. So I think he's a very interesting dynasty discussion, because if he comes back and has that role again, he's going to be a locked in top 12 running back. It just is what it is. I get it. He's not sexy. He reminds me of Arian Foster, like the opposite of sexy. He just does what needs to get done back in the day, right? Continue to produce. So if he's in this role again next year, go buy freaking Kyron Williams.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to sell him now at the price, sure. Like, you kind of take that risk and move on. But yeah, he's just a good NFL player, man. It is what it is. I don't know.
But to your point, you got 1, maybe 2 more years of this production for him.
Yes.
Then he's going to. This is the Todd Gurley effect. He's going to start to break down. This is how Sean McVay likes to use his backs. So will they work Corum more in more now that he's not a rookie going into 2025? Maybe. But yeah, they need to figure it out.
Yeah, the thing is, they just clearly prefer him. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm looking at his hold on. Was this 325, 276? So 276. Sorry, I'm doing the quick math. Oh, screw it. I'll do this later. I was looking at his usage per game compared to last year to see how it's different. So I don't have that top of my head. But yeah, we'll move on. He's a bell cow. It is what it is. If he stays on that roll, you know what you got. Jesus Christ, the Jets are disastrous. There's quite a segue by myself there. So Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Turns out there's no difference between the two of them, because you're 4-12, my friends. Good luck, New York. Y'all need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a disaster. Do not give him control. You know what you get. The problem with Aaron Rodgers is I just don't think he's willing to accept he's not that same guy anymore, and he's still asking for all the same stuff. He has clearly fallen off. You see the arm strength is still there. Problem is the mistakes are there. It's not the same level of stuff. So, yeah, he needs help. He's going to be quarterbacking somewhere next year, just because there's too many teams that need quarterbacks. It probably will not be as good as the situation. The Jets looked good. Problem is their offensive line is in shambles. Shocking offensive line. Another staple of offense. If you don't have a good offensive line, messes up your team. We've seen a lot of those teams. Brees dealt with injuries, a little bit disappointing. Kind of is what it is. He's still top 18 running back. It was okay. If you drafted him round 1, you're probably not loving life. I will say Garrett Wilson's probably the most interesting of these guys from a dynasty perspective, because he had a solid year. He's still top 10. What, top 10 running, top 10 wide receiver? Yeah, top 10 wide receiver. It's just, it's been so up and down. And then with Devontae Adams coming in and taking the wide receiver 1 job from him, it's really going to cause people to have concerns about him, because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for the Jets. So it's going to be like, could be a much worse quarterback, because there's not a lot of good quarterbacks available. If they don't go Aaron Rodgers, what do they do at quarterback is my question to you.
Well, it could be Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, look, I know that the Buffalo Bills were not playing at the end of the game when Tyrod came in. They weren't really pressing the issue, but Tyrod's stats, if you just look at him next to Aaron Rodgers, are night and day different. But Tyrod has been a starter in this league for years. He's fully capable. He's a good, like 6-7 years younger than Aaron Rodgers is at the moment as well. The thing is like, he's not long-term viable, even if you were 26, 27 years old. So he's a perfect bridge. You got to go get a young guy now. I don't know who that young guy is. Maybe you look to draft a guy. Fine, go ahead. But maybe you also look to, try to acquire a JJ McCarthy if Sam Darnold stays. Maybe you look to, see what other younger quarterbacks are available around the league. Maybe Gardner Minshew is out in Vegas. He's not young, but he's younger. So there's an option there, but you're bridging for a rookie eventually, whether that's this year or next year. It's one of those years, because next year's not going to be good anyway. Without Aaron Rodgers, it probably wouldn't be good with Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, you stay the course, but Rodgers has to leave so Garrett Wilson can stay. That's been made clear. It is what it is. The Jets are going to jet.
Yeah, the interesting thing about these, the big three are all under contract through 2025. Devontae Adams actually has the longest guaranteed contract on this team through 2026.
Crazy.
Wilson and Hall are going to get very expensive very shortly after this year. So they're going to, I don't know how they keep both of those guys. They're probably going to restructure some stuff around. You have Adams' ridiculous contract on the books too. So if you're going to move, you probably got to trade him again, which would be Adams' fourth team in the last year and a half. This should be nuts for him. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of changes. I don't know what they're gonna do. Maybe they run it back with an older quarterback like you talked about, and they try it again. We'll see. Before we get to the other team, I want to ask this question really quick. Thanks for joining us, Steve. 26 points. You have St. Brown. I think you're okay because you have St. Brown, but it could get tricky because Gibbs is the thing about the 49ers. Like people don't realize the 49ers, their rushing and defense sucks right now, and it's going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show on the ground. So you just hope he doesn't get like 3 touchdowns on the ground. If you avoid that, I think you'll be fine. But Amon-Ra has kind of had these games where he's been up and down. The thing is, like Debo, if we get vintage Debo, then that's where it gets interesting. So I think you're gonna pull it out, but yeah, I would be worried. I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna sweat this one out. I know how it's gonna go, but I think you're gonna win
for sure. I think Gibbs is like my RB2 or 3 on the week.
Yeah.
But Amon-Ra's my wide receiver 1 on the week.
Right.
I think he's gonna absolutely smash. But like you said, Gibbs is safer in that regard with a higher floor. I don't think Debo goes nuclear because Garendo is back, so Debo won't be needed as much as he was last week, but you never know. Up 26 points is really the biggest part here. If St. Brown can neutralize Gibbs, you'll be fine.
Yeah, because the 49ers are going to have to pass a lot in this game. They're not going to be able to run on the line. So, yeah, Debo, Jawan Jennings could have very good games for them. We'll see. I think only the Vikings give up more passing yards per game. So, yeah, I'll root for it. To Buffalo. Do you have any faith in Amari Cooper's back? Because he caught a touchdown, showed up for the first time in what felt like a decade. Now it was only three receptions of 3 targets, 56 yards, but we're like, holy smokes, he's alive. It was nice to see him do anything. Do you have any hope for Amari Cooper? Or do you think he's fully just cooked at this point?
No, I don't think he's cooked, but I don't have hope because Josh Allen has proven that he does not hyper target anyone unless they are Stephon Diggs, who was one of the best wide receivers in football for a good 3-year stretch there.
Yeah.
If not the best. Amari Cooper is past his prime. He is a piece of this puzzle, but you see Mac Hollins getting the targets that Amari Cooper is getting. You see Keon Coleman coming alive, looking good on that jump ball where Josh Allen just throws it up and Keon Coleman comes down with it in the end zone. So no, this is clearly by this box score and what we've been seeing all year. This is a spread. Josh Allen's a spread it around guy. Are you open? Okay, I'll throw you the ball. I don't care who you are or what your name is. And that works for this team, especially with the way that Allen's able to run the ball. And Ty Johnson is weakly involved in the passing game far too much for anyone else to enjoy fantasy success on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it just speaks to just where Mark Cooper is at because it shows you that if you have an elite target, like Allen will go after them. But the fact they don't have one, he's like, hey, guess what? Keon Coleman, you get 7 targets. Hey, Dalton Kincaid, here's here. Dawson. The whole Kincaid stuff just being really disappointing. Like, he's fine, but he's clearly not what they wanted him to be. This team was asking for someone to step up and be the wide receiver 1. They do not have it right now. So Cooper's a free agent. The rest of these guys are pretty much under contract. I don't know what they're going to do or how they address this, but they clearly need that guy. Like it seems like that's holding them back a little bit. Obviously, Josh Allen's incredible. He's doing everything in his power. And James Cook in his like splitting work role is weird. So my thought process with this, like the playoffs, I wonder if like James Cook's usage just ramps up because they're trying to save him because he's clearly their most efficient best back. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I want to see it because they're going to try and win these games. They know like Josh Allen has this really good window for the next few years. He's only 28 years old, so it's like basically a 7-year window probably, but they're that close. Like now there's 14-win season. Like it's awesome stuff from them. So yeah, congrats if you had Josh Allen. He was the fantasy besides Lamar Jackson. He's like the fantasy MVP. It's glorious for him. Let's go to our next game. Let's talk about move over Ditka. It's Bowers time, baby. Bowers set the rookie record for basically receptions of any position.
Move over Puka Nacua.
It's wild. Like I was watching the game yesterday and I didn't realize what he's got the most all time for any rookie. I was like, so receiving yards for a tight end, most receptions for any rookie, basically pass catcher. Yeah, he's been awesome. Everything you could have asked. I know people were like wondering why they drafted him. Because they needed other spots. You can see why they drafted him. He's clearly a difference maker. He's just been awesome. Him and Jacoby Myers have been that offense as soon as they got rid of Devontae Adams. The rest of the stuff's been all over the place. They desperately need a running back. They need to figure out some pieces. They need a quarterback. But you have 2 pieces that Jacoby Myers, I'm not sure how long he's under contract. I think he's under for 1 more year, if I know correctly. That they have these 2 guys to build with, and then go from there because it's another rebuilding season for Vegas. So we shall see. I think they have the top 4 pick. So they can make some moves. It's there. But it's nice to see Bowers do his thing for you.
Yeah, and this offensive line has been good all season long. We saw Amir Abdullah 20 carries on the ground for 115. That's 5.8 a clip from Amir Abdullah. Alexander Madison is not what he or the team wants him to be. I think they need to cut him. I can't imagine the cap hit being too much because I only think he signed for 2 years. Zamir White, he's still under rookie contract, so you probably just roll him out and see what he can do.
Yeah.
But this team needs backs. This team needs receivers, and this team needs a new quarterback. Aiden O'Connell is fine, but you leave him on the roster, you run out his contract as well. But you got to bring someone in, and you should draft someone at the number 4, or pay the Pats to move up to number 1. Give me your 204, and your second round next year or something ridiculous, and let's get this. And Jacoby Myers back, please. I want Jacoby Myers back just because I want to. You pancake eating motherfuckers.
Yeah, those don't remember they gave Juju Smith-Schuster the exact same contract as Jacoby Myers, and I was like, why? You have a guy that's good. I don't know what you're doing. And Juju's knees were like, hey, guess what? We can't hold up. Sorry, man. I mean, we're trying, but we can't. So, what's his name? Madison's he's a free agent. So yeah, they're not gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna. The nice thing about this running back class is it's so deep and so stacked. You could draft someone in the 4th round, you get better quality than you have on the roster right now, easily. So whoever the running back is on the roster, it's likely coming through free agency or the draft. The other side of this coin, the depressing team, is the Saints, which somehow seem like they're in a worse situation because they have Derek Carr's lofty contract sitting on top of their heads. It's not good. Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed will be back next year, so there's hope for these guys. But I've never seen an offensive skill position where you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire showing up and playing a significant role, the most touches of any running back on the team. Sorry, Kendrick Miller. I don't know what's going on with you. You just can't stay healthy. So yeah, it's not going to happen for Kendrick Miller, unfortunately. This team is just, I'm looking at the roster right now. It is so bereft of talent at the wide receiver room, the tight end room, the running back room, the quarterback room, the offensive line's in shambles. So they need a
defense is old. The defense is old. I mean, I know they keep adding young pieces through the draft,
Trade
and they've had Werner for a few years. They've had Kool-Aid McKinstry this year. Some of those pieces are fine, but you got rid of Lattimore, and this defense is just old. The Saints are in for a 5-year rebuild if they do it properly, and there's no indication they will.
That's the whole point of why they restructured Kamara's contract. It's to save money, but you push that money farther down. So like you have Kamara under contract for multiple years now. This is the problem how you get these scenarios. Like it's like, why would they resign him? It's like, well, they did that to save themselves money so they could do other moves. This puts you in this weird bind. And Derek Carr's contract. Oh, you're wondering what's the cap hit if they do a dead cap hit? It's $50 million to cut him. And so it's like that's the potential out this offseason. So it's like, cool. I think in 2026 they could take that hit because it's $28 million, but like no one's gonna want to trade for Derek Carr's the problem either, too. Because like Derek Carr's
you can't,
right? So that's why that contract at the time we were like, oh, what are you doing? And then it's like, oh yeah, it looks bad. Shocker. It's just
Daniel Jones, anyone? Yeah. This happens all the time with quarterbacks. It's ugly.
Yeah.
Be smarter.
Hey man, you could sign Daniel Jones for peanuts and just play him. It'd just give you fine. It would be fine. It would
sure.
It'll get the job done for the future. So they want to go to that route and bench Derek Carr. Like I'm fine with that.
Is he a Viking right now?
Yeah, he signed with them. It's a smart move for him. He's like, I'm going to try to go get a ring.
Smart move for the Vikings as well. Yeah. Smart move for the Vikings. Let's just take these guys. Let's see if they're dead or not. I mean, you can get you can trade him as well and get yourself a nice little comp pick or whatever it is, or real picks. You could probably get him. You could probably get someone to trade you a 2nd round pick for him, maybe 3rd. I don't know.
I mean, maybe
there's going to be a lot of desperation there.
There's a market, yes.
Is my
yes,
point.
Yes.
Yeah, second.
I think if you, lofty. It depends on the contract language, but if he gets like starter money, which I don't think he will, but if he did, they would get a nice compensation package, right? So like you get a comp pick of 3rd round a couple years from now. Yeah. So yeah, the cost to do that for them was nothing. You basically let him ride. And hey, if Darnold gets hurt, you have a guy that can at least manage games for you, which is harder than what you have on the roster. Because if you go to these, if you go to the freaking Nick Mullins of the world and stuff, like it's a drop off. So it makes sense for them because you're trying to compete for Super Bowl. So hell yeah, do that. Like you know what I'm saying? Let's go to our next game. Indianapolis. JT, where you been all year, my friend? Because this Jonathan Taylor was goddamn nice.
Crazy.
We've been waiting so long for this JT to pop off. Now he's basically RB14 because of these last couple of performances where 26-39 back to back. Wow. He never hit. He only hit 20 once before these 2 games, and it's just it's finally coming together for him. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson was out, but Joe Flacco. I know people were excited for Flacco for downs and good reason, but it was Pittman that was really the big time play. I know we talked about Pittman potentially being in play. It was like, yeah, you can flex him. Mm-hmm. He went nuclear. Alec Pierce did good. Downs did not, though. That was the disappointing thing. I was like, Downs, and it did not work out. Sometimes happens. Yeah, it just shows. I don't know what they're probably going to run back with Richardson. You got to at least see if he's worthy or not, but they got to fix the stuff with this offense because it was so bad with him, the passing. So work on him in the offseason. Hopefully he can become the new Josh Allen for you, where it's like year 3, he takes that leap. Obviously, Josh Allen had to restructure his complete throwing motion. That's the thing people don't talk about. So you need to figure this out with Richardson because if it doesn't work, they're going to be looking for a new quarterback next year after that. So you can kind of tell the direction they're going to go. They have decent pieces. Like it's just, Taylor's under contract for, I think, 1 more year, if I know correctly. I think he's under contract for a minute. He actually might be a 3. Well, no, did he sign his contract? I think he did.
I'm not sure.
Actually, I'm stammering on it because I do not recall.
While you look that up, though, can we please keep Joe Flacco in one place? He has shown no desire to retire. He's still capable of slinging it around. He is doing himself a favor by signing with teams with very good offensive lines, so he doesn't have to worry necessarily about that situation. Joe Flacco is probably going to play in the NFL next year, and he really needs to be probably on the Colts if they know what's good for them, because like you said, Anthony Richardson, you just can't rely on him. The other thing I want to say before you mention Jonathan Taylor and go off is Alec Pierce needs more love. This team, if they're throwing the ball a lot more often, this guy's damn good. And the way they use him in this offense is impressive. When Anthony Richardson isn't on the field, Pierce, he's a little boom bust, but that's more so because of the role that he plays. He's a damn good wide receiver.
Yeah, these are the type of wide receivers that you'll like where MVS got paid back in the day. This is exactly what Alec Pierce does. Like he's that downfield threat. 21 yards for reception. Like that tells you all you need to do. And with Richardson, he was like the one guy that was consistently doing things because he was hitting these bomb shots, right? So yeah, he has that role. It's quality. I know people liked AD Mitchell, but it's been just a roller coaster with him as well.
Yeah.
The talent's still there, so you kind of want to see it next year. But I thought AD Mitchell was going to take Pierce's job. Pierce was like, nah, dude, like that dude's a wild horse. I got this. So yeah, congrats to Alec Pierce showing us he's a quality downfield threat. Like, but he's not a guy that you want to be your top targeter on your team. You kind of want to have him be that third wide receiver forward. He does that. So we need Downs, we need Pittman to do their thing, stay healthy, move forward. And Richardson, you have the pieces for a really good offense. I don't know if it's going to work next year or not, but it's there. On the flip side, the freaking New York Giants, what in the hell happened? Because they put up 45 points. Drew Lock put up the greatest performance of all time in history, basically just looking like Superman out there. 17 for 23, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Where was this from Drew Lock? I don't even understand it. The Colts really just had a playoff shot. They blew it. You have yourself to blame because that defense got shredded. Yeah. When you have Malik Neighbors going for 7 for 171, that will do the trick. I mean, wow, this was probably the most surprising performance I've seen in a long time. Like, just absolutely destroy people.
And it was all Neighbors, too. Like, Drew Lock was putting the ball where he needs to put the ball for sure. But Neighbors was absolutely dominating these corners. And Kenny Moore was on him a lot. And Kenny Moore is good. And you just saw Malik just out-positioning him, out-muscling him, and just like thrust, like just spinning and thrusting dudes off of him and taking off for 60 yards. So he absolutely murdered this team on his own. And, Malik Neighbors is great. He's going to be a first-round pick next year.
You could make the case to put him. I mean, obviously they need a quarterback, but even without a quarterback, he's the top, 5 pick, even without it. So it's just like, he's just a special player.
He'll be top 7, 8 for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. Oh, yeah. So, Yak, Malik Neighbors had 108 yards of Yak in this game. The next closest was Puka Nacua was 75. Yeah, Malik Neighbors was doing everything and then some. I know we were talking about kind of the issues Malik Neighbors in the preseason. I was clearly wrong about that. He's wide receiver 7, 1,140 yards, 6. Like, he had a low 8 odd stuff, but this game he was like, screw it. I'm just going to break house calls and do it. So shout out to you, Malik Neighbors, showing you that situation does not matter for certain players that are that talented. He is that good. Those LSU wide receivers, you just got to outside of Terrace Marshall, just buy the LSU wide receivers. It's going really well for those guys. Oh, goodness. That was the fun stuff. All right, let's go to our next game and talk about Dallas. Uncle Rico did his best. You're right. He did do his best. It was a nice shot. He tried, man. 23 carries, 104 yards. I don't know why when you're getting your doors blown off, you run it 23 times with Rico Dowdle, but that's neither here nor there, right? So Philadelphia, it started out bad. It got worse for the Cowboys. When you don't have CeeDee Lamb, it exposes how bad this wide receiver room is. I know on the broadcast they were talking about Brandon Cook still being quality NFL receiver. I was like, What the fuck, Brandon Cooks, have you
Yeah.
watched the last 3 years? He is not quality NFL wide receiver at this point in time. He just carries the name
Agree.
cachet. It's Tolbert, it's Cooks, it's Turpin, it's Brooks, it's Mingo. That Mingo trade looks abysmal. It's not going to get any better.
No.
Ferguson really didn't do much. And you had Cooper Rush on the ball. So yeah, Dallas, I don't know what they're going to do, but they might need to reset this because I don't know how you build the pieces around Dak to make them a quality and like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
it seems like they are far away from that right now. Like, I don't know what they do.
Get rid of Dak. I mean, you tried with Trey Lance, right? But obviously that's not going to happen. So you move Dak and his contract if you can. I think you might be able to. Again, we're talking about this QB market like there's nobody there because we believe there's nobody there. Many people do. So, yeah, if you can move Dak, you sign a journeyman guy or you roll with Rush. I don't care what you do, but you have to bring in a few younger weapons who are quality pieces. You have to revamp this offensive line, and you have to probably get yourself a younger line. I mean, Eric Kendricks, he's like 45 years old. You need to get yourself quality, middle linebacker or two, and you got to keep their health. I mean, Dallas has been decimated by injury this year. So all of that said, I don't think it's terrible for Dallas. At the same time, there's a lot of pieces that they need.
Yeah, their offensive line is also a disaster right now. They're dealing with a lot of guys that are injured, just not quite. Yeah. This is where you see teams missing on the draft last few years. I mean, they've hit on a few of these guys. They hit on Lamb, they hit on Parsons, they hit a couple of these big names.
Yep.
Outside of that, they've fallen short of the draft. And this is where your depth starts to erode, and you see that. You're looking at your roster. This happened in the Saints a few years ago, and they've been chasing that ever since. This is what the Cowboys are going through right now. If you miss in the draft, really just hamstrings you because, to your point, man, like it's going to be tough. I mean, if you want to talk about the Dak contract for a second, I can give you the chat.
Sure.
So
yeah.
If they cut him before, they're not going to cut him, but it's $151 million a dead cap. If they trade him before June 1st, it's $104 million before of dead cap this year.
Damn.
If they do it post June 1st, it's $42 million dead cap in 2025, $62 million in dead cap in 2026. Obviously, there's some clear savings, but dude, that contract he just signed, I don't know how you I know we talk about Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and like the issues those contracts created for them. The problem is you put bad pieces around those players in bad situations. They're not capable. I will say Dak's better than those guys. He's clearly better than those guys.
Oh, 100%. We're not
sitting
on Dak.
He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. That's the problem. So you're paying him like that. He's that next tier below where he's really good. And when he's on, you saw last year, second half, he was lights out down the stretch. But he's just a little bit more up or down. So he's like a top 10, maybe top 8, 7 quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's still really good. It's just you're asking him to do too much. Like, he can't be Josh Allen. That's the problem.
Yeah, but classic Jerry Jones, thinking that you just pay these guys and your roster is better than it is. The Brad Johnsons of the world, Joe Flacco, good example. Trent Dilfer won Super Bowls because their team around them was phenomenal. That is not the case in Dallas, and unfortunately hasn't been the case for a few years.
Yeah, Jerry's been chasing that where it's like, hey, you're the greatest offensive line of all time, and you had freaking to Hall of Famers across the board, wide receiver, running back, you had a really good fullback, you had solid quality quarterback, and your defense was legendary too. Like, it's like they're so far from that team and what they've been. They've been consistently. Really I will say when Jerry kind of got out away of his own way, the team got a little bit better. They had that stretch related, but they're a ways away from it again once again. So I don't know what they're gonna do. On the flip side, there is a team they played. Who is that team? Which is probably the most talented roster in the NFL right now. It's Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
They have it all there. My goodness, it's fun to watch this team play. Devonta Smith went nuclear. AJ Brown still caught a touchdown, so he was fine. But yeah, we don't need to talk too much about this. Kenny Pickett helps the wide receivers, and even Saquon Barkley with Kenny Pickett's like, I don't care, man. What do you need? 160? I got you, bro. 167 on the ground, couple touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 2,005 rushing yards on the season, 13 touchdowns. Oh yeah, he's the RB1. Remember all the complaining people were doing about Jalen Hurts siphoning his touchdowns? If he didn't have Jalen Hurts, he could have 25 rushing touchdowns, maybe. So you think about that, he could be on pace for like the greatest season of all time for fantasy. But yeah, he's still really, really good. 338 freaking in half PPR fantasy points. That's absurd. Like he's pushing close to 400 in PPR. Like it's really good for him. So
and
he can get there. He can get there next week.
And the RB3 on the season, Derrick Henry. The people who were shitting on these, second contract or third contract, whatever running backs who were changing teams. Whoops.
Yeah, it's just like, he's gonna set the rushing record. I heard people already complaining about Eric Dickinson having the 14 games. I'm like, well, cool. That was the schedule back then. What do you want Saquon to do? Like, He's going to set the record. I don't know. And yeah, by the way, Eric Dickerson in the playoffs got absolutely destroyed against the Bears. So I know everybody wants to talk about that, but they don't remember that. Like the Bears were like, "Hey, fuck you. You want to go against us? Good luck."
That was a good Bears team. They were good.
A little bit. Yeah, not too
They
bad.
were okay.
Let's talk about Carolina. Bryce Young. I will say, yes, Adam Thielen is clearly still has something left in the tank. Or the way I'll phrase this is maybe the rest of those wide receivers are just so ass. Adam Thielen has to do it. That's more or less likely. I mean, Jalen Coker was not great in this game. Xavier Leggett showing his raccoon. He's got some stuff in him. But this Bryce Young was under pressure like 70% of his snaps in this game. It was a disaster offense. The offensive line has been better. They were just wrecked by the Buccaneers defense. So congrats to the Bucs. They brought it. And he was consistently chasing the entire game. And they only threw it 28 times, which showed you they did not have the ball very much. Because every time Baker had the ball, he was marching down, scoring touchdowns. Like they were just on another level. But yeah, if you had Thielen in fantasy, you loved it. 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yep. The tight end room they need to figure out tight end room, Carolina. Not good. And that running back room, we'll see Chuba Hubbard next year. So if you want to go get Chuba Hubbard for cheap now, like go get him because he's going to be the RB1 next year. Probably after that because Jonathan Brooks is
we were advising against picking up and playing Raheem Blackshear or Mike Boone. Blackshear ended up being the one who everyone was excited about. We said, I kind of like him, but I did not think he would have a good game. He didn't, and it was the Adam Thielen. We were all pumping up Adam Thielen before this game. He absolutely crushed for you. So Bryce did his thing. I think he's a quality NFL quarterback. I think he's, what's his name? Head coach.
Oh, Dave Canales.
Dave Canales does it again. Now they need to build this roster properly. We'll see if David Tepper lets him do that. He hasn't let anybody do that since he's taken over years ago. So we'll see. I'll cross your fingers for you, Canales. But dude is proving he's legit. So even if it doesn't work out in Carolina over the next few years, he's going to get another shot for sure.
Yeah, the Tepper stuff's weird. There was like had like a Legends reunion, and they just basically did not invite Cam Newton. Cam Newton said he found out from the players that they were having it. It's like stuff like that. It's like, dude, you were not running quality. The greatest quarterback in your history took you to one MVP, took you Super Bowl. You're like, we're not going to invite this guy. And I'm like,
they have a word for that. It's called racism. Fuck that guy. It sucks.
Yeah. It's not fun. It's just you run into it a lot. It's just not quality of leadership up top. It trickles down and it's infiltrated the system. So we will see if they can build it out. I don't know. They're going to try to, but they're probably going to move on for people. Hopefully Canal stays and he does not fire him because that would be a disaster. But I would not put it past him, right? Let's go to Tampa Bay, a team that is playing above and beyond. Mr. Baker Mayfield. Woo! You've been hyping up Baker all season.
Killer.
You nailed that. He's been lights out. He's been playing out of his mind. So yeah, Liam Cohen. They promoted him into a new role. He's been incredible. You do not let Liam Cohen get out of here. You sign him to whatever contract you need to sign him to. As my daughter is going nuclear in the backfield, so you want to take over for a second? I don't know what's happening.
So Baker Mayfield absolutely went off 359 and 5, no interceptions, which I think is the bigger thing. Certainly this game was never in doubt, but if you are a quality NFL quarterback, you limit your turnovers. Baker Mayfield has been doing that. 5 TDs to no interceptions. That is pristine quarterback play. And then you see he's delivering the ball to Mike Evans for 2, Jalen McMillan for 2, Payne Durham, your guy. I don't know if you started him in the Scott Fish Bowl, but if you did, you got that touchdown.
Yes, we did.
Unfortunately, not more volume, but you did get the touchdown, 36 yards there. So, look, Bucky had a great game, an amazing game, almost 200 yards from the line of scrimmage, but didn't score a touchdown. You wanted that touchdown. I wanted that touchdown, but you didn't get it. But still a great game from Bucky. So this team is well on its way. Are they going to be able to overcome the Vikings and the Lions and the Eagles this year? I don't know. They were close last year. So if this defense really has turned the corner, they've looked good the last couple of games. They have a legitimate shot, but Baker's going to have to continue to play out of his mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're asking Baker to do what a couple of these guys are doing. And they did already beat the Lions in Detroit week 2. So, they have shown they could do it. They when their defense is on, it gives them a shot. Because they're off one of the best offenses in the NFL. Baker's playing out of his mind. Now, are we going to have to expect that for 3 straight weeks? Yeah, probably. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. But you're seeing enough from this team where it's like, you know what? It's fun. It's just I'm enjoying watching this team play football. And that's what you get. And Mike Evans is so close to setting that record again for the 11th straight season. I think he's going to get there. I know Baker said he's more focused on it than Mike Evans. So Baker's like, yeah, we're going to get there. So Mike Evans is going to get hyper targeted next week. So if he's playing and you have Mike Evans, you fire him up. You don't worry about it because, yeah, we'll get that yardage. So it'll be fun. Let's go on to our next one. Was it it's Tennessee? All
Tennessee,
right.
Jacksonville.
Oh boy, that's a doozy. Yeah, offense. Yeah. Tajay did good in this game. Like he had 95 yards on the ground, did not get the touchdown, and he also suffered a concussion, which sucks. So he was a good play. We liked him a lot, and
he was a good play.
He was a good play. Just didn't get touchdowns. You know, sometimes that happens. Overall, he didn't kill you though, so he got there.
Well,
the rest of this offense,
but missed the whole fourth quarter, right? So if he had the fourth quarter, didn't come out due to injury, he probably scores. If he doesn't score, you still like his production had a good day.
Yeah, I mean, he had 24 opportunities through 3 quarters. That's pretty good. Like that's a heavy usage. So it just shows you. Yeah, they have a quality running back room in Tennessee. Not a lot of else going on in Tennessee, but they got quality running backs for the next few years. Calvin Ridley was solid for you. I mean, Nick Westbrook did a little bit, but outside of that, the passing game, when Mason Rudolph only has 193 passing yards, kind of tells you how the game goes. They just could not do it against Jacksonville. And on the flip side, my God, Brian Thomas Jr. is him. We'll keep preaching about Brian Thomas Jr. He's been going nuclear this second half. Like it's just been every game, 10, 12, 14, 13, 10 targets, just nonstop. It's just body blow after body blow after body blow. He's got basically 1,200 yards. Yeah, that's a hell of a pick for them. We talked about in the preseason where I said like the upside shot of any wide receiver is Brian Thomas Jr. outside of the elite 3. Like it's clearly Brian Thomas Jr. He's lived up to that and been far better than anybody could have anticipated. I know people loved him, but like this is like absurd what he's doing. So yeah, they got him. That running back room though. Maybe Mac Jones can be good to your point. I don't know. Like, and I think in a good situation, Mac Jones, his first year with the Patriots, like he was solid, he was productive. Can he get back to there? I don't know. But like you think some team would be willing to give him a shot, right? If you're dealing in this desolate line of quarterback, yeah, like why not pay him a few bucks, see what you got? Because it's really hard to find quality quarterback play, man. Like, and if you get that from Mac Jones, the problem is like I don't know any rosters that are good enough to really support that. That's my one concern.
True, but he's one of these guys who was ruined by whatever Belichick was doing there with. I don't even remember his name, but the coach of Detroit,
was it Patricia?
Big Patricia, who was like the defensive coordinator, then came back, and then he's an offensive coordinator for the Pats, and then they don't have one. It's like, who's developing this Mac Jones? So Mac Jones was a disaster. I do not put that on him, although I never wanted him in the first place. He's looking decent in also a dysfunctional offense on a dysfunctional team. But it's because Brian Thomas Jr. We mentioned Malik Neighbors being a first-round dynasty pick earlier in the show. Malik Neighbors is wide receiver 7 on the season. Brian Thomas is wide receiver 4. So he may be more quarterback proof than Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, his role is crazy. Like his downfield stuff too. And he's consistently hitting it. Like his ADOT and yards per catch is like almost 15. Like that's absurd. He doesn't have the near amount of targets Malik Neighbors has, but in his role, it reminds me a hell of a lot of Jamar Chase's rookie year. It's very freaking similar. Yeah. Now he's not going to have the 1,500 yards, but he's going to get you close there. So like that's what Jamar Chase is doing this year.
Let's just for a second, we're not going to take too much time on this, but let's just, go to fast forward to next year. Doug Peterson is gone, and we're happy enough with the coach and the offensive scheme. Trevor Lawrence is healthy, and he's back as quarterback of this team. The Giants also have a quarterback that we're happy enough with. Upgrade over, certainly over Drew Lock, but upgrade over Daniel Jones. We like it for Malik Neighbors. Who do you take? Do you take Brian Thomas or do you take Malik Neighbors?
I'd probably take Malik Neighbors because it's safer with like what he does, right? But goddamn, I love Thomas. If I could trade back into, because like the way like Malik Neighbors could be around one pick, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is gonna be a second round pick, like maybe on the turn. Like he's gonna go really early.
I don't know.
It might be around one.
Wide receiver 4.
I know that. Like in particular, if he gets a good quarterback, I think he will be there. But there's just so many good NFL like wide receivers in that range, right? Like you're gonna have to put him up some serious guys because you have Puka, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Jamar Chase, you have Justin Jefferson. At a certain point, it's really hard to put him above those guys because they've been more consistent. But yeah, I think he should be at minimum like a mid to early round second pick. So that tells you where he should be in Dynasty. He should be the elite of the elite, right up there, like top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty, like right up with Malik Neighbors, like those two. Whichever one you prefer.
I think I'll be lower on him because Puka is above him, right?
Yep.
So let's say who's definitely above Neighbors / Brian Thomas? It's Chase, it's Jefferson, it's Puka, I know I missed somebody in there.
Lamb. But
Lamb. Yeah. Let's say Lamb.
And then I struggle finding anybody else. Like, that's what I'm saying.
You might be right.
Like, we got 4 dudes, maybe. Like, so like I think Brian Thomas should be above
AJ.
Should be above Nico. Should be above basically all of the guys. Because where Brian Thomas Jr. is at right now, he's at wide receiver 8. Yeah. I would take him above Nico. And then you get to wide receiver 6 with like Puka. I don't know why Puka's wide receiver 6. Like, what are we doing?
I take him over AJ. I take him over AJ. Both of those guys.
Yeah, AJ is lower. AJ is like the wide receiver. So I'm using keep trade cut. So it goes Jamar
so
Chase,
give me the top.
Jefferson. Yeah. I think the conversation starts at Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver 3. I'm taking
Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm taking Amon-Ra. He's kind of regressed a little bit this year. So that's like, I mean, you're picking nits here with these guys. Like, it's not like he's gonna fall off the cliff. Like, he's a really, really good productive player. His environment's really good. Like, I think you can make the case for him in that range. So I would say the top guy, Chase, is clear wide receiver 1. He's doing stuff. Jefferson's there. He's been consistent. He's doing it once again. Then it's really like it's Lamb. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have Puka. So Puka's in my tier 1. Like, he's with Jefferson and Chase. But then you could say Lamb. You could say Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Lamb and Amon-Ra.
Then it's Neighbors. Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know why the hell Marvin Harris Jr. is wide receiver 10 in Dynasty. That's absurd. But whatever. We'll get to that later. But it really gets like JSN's wide receiver 9, by the way. Like, JSN is up there, baby. Let's go. And then you get AJ Brown, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, still top 15 wide receiver.
Drake London and Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice. Those are 3 interesting names. Yep. I'm taking Neighbors and Brian Thomas over all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, their Neighbors specifically is clearly Brian Thomas Jr. is above those guys too, which makes sense. Like, the Nico stuff's been really good, but he's older. Like, he's 26. Like, I'm not taking Nico above these 2, like, young rookie. Just the market value on how these 2 guys are is just, it's going to be higher. Like, if they hit year 2,
I'm going to take Nico over Brian Thomas Jr. Will I take him over Neighbors? That's going to be something I wrestle with all offseason. So I feel like that 6, 7, 5, because I think Puka makes 5 or Puka makes 4.
Well, so if you have Chase, Lamb, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown's 4, and then Puka would be the 5th. I have Puka as like
so it's like 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 is probably some combination of Neighbors, Nico, BTJ.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Neighbors is above Puka, but like in that range of wide receivers, it is what it is. Like, they're clearly. I know someone put out a post on Reddit, and I got so furious seeing it. They're like, Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. are the new Jefferson and Chase. And I'm like, motherfucker, they're like 25 years old. I was like, what are we doing here? I was like, Jesus Christ, can we stop this nonsense? But I had to like log off for a second. I was like, nope, I'm about to go ballistic on this person. So we just moved on past it. Yeah, it just shows you how good these guys have been. They've been everything you could have asked for, these 2 rookie wide receivers. And both of them, I know it's Trevor Lawrence, like he's been Trevor Lawrence, but it's clearly not the elite caliber quarterback play that we want it to be. So hopefully it gets better for him. We'll see.
Agree.
Yeah. Aaron nails it. Amon-Ra about to have a big day. Wide receiver 1 for you, Jeremy. Woo-woo.
Wide receiver 3 in our dynasty ranks. Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I like him. Above him, but I don't mind him. He's really good. Let's go to our next game and talk about that because we got a little sidetracked. Oh God. Miami. Yeah, this game was abysmal. Like I said before, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL whenever he started. He sucks, folks. He was real bad. Hey, but my boy Jordan Akins, he was keeping him alive on the Miami side. We were worried about Tyreek. The HN stuff, man. We talked about this. I said he's the average 7 points per game in games without Tua. He gave you 4.8 in this game. So, it did not go well. Inefficiency. They need to fix this offense because HN's been super deficient all year. That has not. He's got a ton of volume. And like Mostert really hasn't been efficient. Jalen Wright's been a non-factor. So what we were excited about has not really progressed for this offense. It's just been tough.
The running game actually sucks for this team. The only way H-Han has been doing it is through the air. So it's really been disappointing. You're totally right. They need to fix that. But Tyreek Hill, I just don't think you can bench him. So I know SC was worried about Tyreek Hill and talking about it. Benched him for Juwan Jennings. I don't hate that. But when you're talking about guys with roles, like a lesser guy, like a Darnell Mooney or like even a Drake London. Drake London had a good game, but like Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to play Tyreek Hill. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he gets in that range, like where it's kind of you get to the weaker positions, like you talked about, like with like Mooney and those guys. Where people, I know he wanted to bench him over Alameda Zacchaeus, and I was like, see, that's too far. Let's not do that. Alameda still had a really good game. I think he actually outscored Tyreek Hill for fantasy. So, what do we know, right?
Fair.
So it shows you how it is for fantasy on a daily basis. But
True.
Yeah, Tyreek, I don't know what's going on in this offense. There are going to probably be some changes. His targets fell off a cliff this year. He's played he's played 16 games, and his targets, he has 50 less targets on the year, which shows you the difference. He had back-to-back basically 1,700 plus yards season. This year, he's not even at 1,000 yards. So his yards per target's been abysmal. And yeah, like we talked about offensively, rushing, this is the least efficient rushing attack in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins, the worst. EPA and everything, bottom of the barrel. And they're still just featuring H-Hand like crazy. So I don't know what McDaniel's doing and why he thinks that's continuing to work when your passing attack is clearly better. I know they use H-Hand a lot in the passing game. He's got, like 87 targets. So he's been clear. But the rushing, man, it's just been, they can't rush. And I think it really limits his offense. And I mean, a lot of it's been Huntley. It's been just bad quarterback play too. So
Jesse, do you know who Frank Smith is?
Sounds like some white dude you meet on the street. I don't know.
Good answer. He might be a white dude you meet on the street in Miami. Apparently, he's the offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. But can we please bring in a mind here, Miami, to challenge Mike McDaniel and make him better? Because I think that's really the issue here. I don't know who Frank Smith is, but let's bring in someone who has knowledge of the game, who's been an offensive coordinator before, who can at least, make things different and work with Mike McDaniel. We don't need a yes man here. We need someone to challenge the status quo and move things forward in Miami.
Yeah, because there's the when they got against the toughest competition is when McDaniel kind of struggled specifically the last few years on certain schemes specifically gave him fits. And he was not able to fix that. Like when he goes against Buffalo, they handcuff this offense every year. I think it was the first year. And then they torched them in that first game. And then McDermott made adjustments, and it's been just a disaster basically every game since then. Like, they're not going to do it. So it kind of shows you McDaniel needs to develop some new wrinkles or do something or adjust. Otherwise, Miami just finds himself in this weird position because you have the pieces. You have H.A. He's one of the most out running backs in the NFL. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Jalen Waddle, but they're not even using Jalen Waddle, which is the most frustrating thing about this offense, right? They're like, hey, let's feature Johnny Smith. And I'm like, I get it. Johnny Smith's a good quality NFL tight end, but dude, what are you doing? Whenever you feature a tight end over a really good wide receiver, you're prioritizing a least efficient player. It's just strange, man. I don't get it.
Agree.
But yeah, I'm with you. They need to figure some stuff out. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, and they've been, it's not good. Let's go to Cleveland and potentially an even worse situation. Deshaun Watson coming back. So whatever's going on there, I don't know. We'll see. They are at least doing the tank right because they purposely benched Jameis. He was dealing with an injury. They're like, all right, we're not going to do this. So I 100% get it what you're going for, Cleveland, at this point. They need to figure out. I don't know what they're going to draft with because they're 3-13. They're pushing for a top pick. So, they're going to get a quality player at least. But this running back room, Nick Chubb is basically done. This just over for him at this point. This running back room is pretty much a disaster. Jerome Ford would have been a good play in this game, I will say, but he got hurt, rolled up his ankle pretty bad, and tried to come back, couldn't. If you look at the usage of the points for the rest of these guys, it would have been a fine game for him. It just did not work out injury. But holy hell, Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what Dorian Thompson and Jerry Jeudy are about. Jerry Jeudy had 18 targets in this game. So, we talked about not playing Jeudy. You could have definitely played Jeudy. It would have been fine. I was very worried about it. Elijah Moore didn't do anything. Jordan Akins was fine. It was Jeudy, Jordan Akins. So, basically, you just swapped David Njoku with Jordan Akins, and you had Jeudy and Jordan Akins doing it for you. So,
pretty sure
Judy's been really good.
In my Twitter bio, oh, no, it's removed for a while.
You used to have it, yeah.
I used to have former Jerry Jeudy truther. I loved Jeudy for years. He spurned me one too many years. I jumped off the bandwagon, and he goes absolutely nuclear from about week 8 on, but certainly after the bye. He's the wide receiver 11, half PPR. Absolute stud. Crazy. Nice. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson sucks, right? He sucks. Yeah. And he still got the ball to Jerry Jeudy for 12 receptions for 94 yards.
Yeah, last week he only had 3 receptions against Cincinnati, or 3 targets in Cincinnati. So it's okay, it's clearly not working. Oh, guess what? He must have had a meeting in the other rooms. Like, hey, motherfucker, give me the ball. And he's like, okay, sure. You want 18 targets? Here you go, Jeudy. Yeah, it's just like
you're giving Elijah Moore. What are you doing?
I mean, Matt Harmon loves Elijah Moore, but the hate went too far on Jeudy a little bit. where people just didn't even want him, right? And I was like, okay, he
Yeah.
clearly could do some things, right? Obviously, I wasn't like always going to put up 1,200 yards as a wide receiver. I didn't expect that. The Jameis stuff in the middle of the season was very nice for him. It was like he didn't get less than 10 points in any of those games. Had a couple monster performances where he had 235 in the one game against Denver, which is just out of control. But he's had 235, 142 in two of these games, and then he's just been hyper targeted. So, congrats to Judy, man. They've got a quality in their NFL wide receiver. They moved on from Cooper, right? Decision for them. They pulled the trigger at the right time. Cooper looks like he's dust, so they made a move on that. If Tillman can get healthy, he looks like a downfield threat for them. So they have the pieces. Just you got to figure out the offensive line quarterback, like every other team in the NFL. So, could be a long year. Just if you just want to just fuck around, put Jameis back there, have fun. Like they're not going to win games, so it could be the same thing.
Build that D. See what you can do.
All right, let's go. Oh, Aaron, actually, I missed this comment. Yes. Hell yeah, dude. So 6 wins.
Good luck, sir.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Hey, win that Rainbow Bowl. Warrior and Rainbow Bowl. Okay, big.
Yeah, win them both.
Hey, I like that. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey,
shout out to FAU. Yeah. Let's go Green Bay. Romeo Doubs, the best wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, at this point, it's like, why are we even fighting it? Dontavian Wicks is like,
we're fighting it. We're fighting it, man. Everybody fights it. Look, I love Jaden Reed too. Romeo Doubs, for whatever reason, he's not perfect, but it doesn't matter. He's on the outside, and Jordan Love loves him, and this scheme loves him. 11 targets, 7 for 58 in this game. No one else even came close. Maybe Dontavian Wicks. But yeah, stop fighting it. It's Romeo Doubs. Go make sure you draft him as the first Packers wide receiver next year.
Yeah, you're not even gonna have to draft him high. Like the thing is, with Romeo Doubs, he's the guy that's always on the field, so he's gonna earn the targets. The whole I'm all over the place right now. Jaden Reed stuff is very weird. Like, his usage in the early part of the year was really good, and then they're like, guess what? We're just gonna not use you that much, and it's just been falling off of a cliff. He's still by far their most fantasy productive wide receiver because he's got rushing and all that stuff. But it's Romeo Doubs. Just develop that with Jordan Love. I will say this offense though is super frustrating because as good as it's been for Josh Jacobs and really for fantasy and all that stuff, like they should not have been featuring Josh Jacobs against the Vikings like they were doing. They were down double digits. They're like, oh, a first down. We're 10 minutes left in the game. Yeah, let's run with Josh Jacobs. I'm like, bro,
almost won.
I know they came back. They had to pull it out of their ass, but I mean, Jordan Love is a quality NFL quarterback. It's just what sucks for the Packers is they're like a level below these two teams for whatever reason, the Vikings and Lions, right? And all of their losses have come against like 2 losses against the Vikings, 2 losses against the Vikings. And I think the other loss was a really good team. I can't remember who it is. I'm blanking on it. It was like either San Francisco or one of those teams. So they're basically all the good teams they played, they've struggled against. So it's just, they could seem like that team below. So they could figure out the playoffs like they did last year and become very dangerous because that team was a disaster last year in the playoffs. So hopefully they do it and turn it around because it's a good squad, man. They got pieces. They figure tight end, but yeah.
The other team was Philly.
Oh, Philly. That's right. Yeah. Week 1. That's right. Yeah. Philly. Shocking. The 3 best teams in the NFC. Like they just, tough break for them. On the flip side, Minnesota, your boy Sammy Darnold does it once again. 377, 3 touchdowns. No big deal. Just 4,100 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. Just ho-hum stuff from Sam Darnold here. It's not. It's it's good stuff. I don't know what was going on with Aaron Jones. He had like an injury. I guess they just kept him out. I don't know. They let Cam Akers get the work, but yeah. It was Addison, it's Jefferson doing it once again. Those guys have been really good for you, and Hawkinson was solid. This is the perfect structure for a quarterback like Sam Darnold to come in and thrive, and he's done exactly that. So it'll lead to a discourse this offseason. We don't know what they're going to do with McCarthy and Darnold. They're going to have to make a decision one or the other. We'll see. He's going to get paid by somebody. Like somebody's going to pay Sam Darnold because they're seeing this. Like, you don't put up 41 and 35 and be like, no contract. So I'm curious to see how it works out for him. But he's been awesome, man. He's been everything you could ask for.
I hope you held Sam Darnold. This is what you've been waiting for. You're going to get a big payday in the offseason because one of two things is going to happen. Either he's going to play somewhere else because someone's going to pay him ridiculous amount of money and the hype is going to be real for Sam Darnold. And then you sell the crap out of Sam Darnold for as much as you can get. Top dollar for QB needed teams in your league. Or Sam Darnold stays. And you know what? You keep Sam Darnold because he's going to do this. 377 yards and 3 touchdowns. Sam Darnold can do this in half of his games, and he will. And Justin Jefferson didn't even score, didn't even go nuclear. I think with another year, they're going to progress into an offense where they're going to be more comfortable with each other. Jordan Jefferson is going to be by far the leader. He just wasn't that this year, and Sam Darnold was capping him. I do not see a scenario where Minnesota lets him walk. And I think Sam Darnold will accept less money for the job security that will be playing with one of the best coaches in the NFL, which he has not experienced until Minnesota. The whole Adam Gase, was it Frank Reich, I think, over in Carolina? I mean,
In New
it,
York, yeah, brutal.
in Carolina, yeah. So it's just an absolute disaster for Sam Darnold to start his career. He's found a home. I think he stays. What that means for JJ, I don't know. But who cares? Sam Darnold to the moon.
Yeah, I'm looking at these trades. There's like Anthony Richardson trading here. There's a lot of just like random stuff. It's like a future one and AD Mitchell for Sam Darnold. There's some teams are selling for just a random 2, so they're probably rebuilding would be my assumption. But the price is really not that expensive to get him. There is one where somebody traded McCaffrey and Pickens to get him, and that's just absurd. I don't know why you would do that, but that's a lot. That's a hefty price. But I get it. They needed a quarterback. So yeah, that's the one that stands out. But most of these, he's relatively priced. Like you could do a Tua deal for him. You could trade him for like, these other guys. Somebody did Kendrick Miller in a second, and I'm just like, oh, what are you doing? Like, why? What's the point in that? Like, where does that get you? So yeah he's not that expensive. He's QB24 dynasty. So,
but I think that's going to rise. And because teams do not have anything else left to play for, I think that it's going to be really hard for you to get him unless somebody believes that Sam Darnold is going to move on and is not going to be good. But why would you sell him now as opposed to waiting it out? I think as a person who holds a lot of Sam Darnold bags, I would not sell him now for, what are you going to offer me? Like a late first round pick? No, I'm going to be able to get way more than that when the hype grows if I want to sell him. And if he stays in Minnesota, I'm keeping him, man.
Yeah, like that's the key, like him in Minnesota. So like I think that's the bet you're making. I don't mind selling him for a 1 because usually the Sam Darnold teams, you're not depending on him for the championship. Like you have enough quality players, right? So like it depends on your situation. So if you give me a future 1, I'll just part with Sam Darnold, be good on my way. Because my thought process is he's QB24. How high does his market go up? Like I feel like it's capped unless he shows you another season. That's the thing. So if he balls out again, then the perception changes. So if we're having through next year, he's a top 12 quarterback doing his thing again, then people are going to shift on him. What I worry about, and this is my fear of Sam Darnold, him ending up in a worse situation and it crumbling beneath him. Like that's because those issues are still there. Like I watch him and I'm like, bro, that should have been a pick. What are you doing with that? So that's my concern with the Sam Darnold. Like if you give him the Vikings for the next 3 years, hell yeah, like he's locked in producer. The McCarthy, if they trade McCarthy, then it's like, yeah, go get Sam Darnold for cheap, right? Like, that's the thing. So we'll see.
Jesse, let me ask you, who would you rather have than Sam Darnold in, let's assume he stays in Minnesota. Would you rather have Sam Darnold next year or Bryce Young?
I mean, for production-wise, it's clearly Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold or Tua?
It's probably going to be close to those 2 guys, but Darnold probably.
I'm going to take Darnold because Tua and the injuries, right? We saw it this year. Sam Darnold and Richardson.
I mean, you're preaching to me with Richardson. I'll probably take Richardson. But yeah, like I think most people would probably take Sam Darnold in that situation.
T-Law.
Yeah. If I am... I'll take him on a contender if I know it. Like this is with him and the Vikings, right? Like the assumption,
yes.
I don't mind as a producer, but long term, like I'm just gonna lock in. I'm just very scared for him. The way I phrase it, like I need more than what we've seen this year to be fully confident in him doing it multiple years. So that's that's the way I'm coming from, the way I'm looking at it.
But the way I'm coming from it is how if he stays in Minnesota, how can he fail with Kevin O'Connell, and Jordan Jefferson, and DJ Hawkinson? And Jordan Addison, I mean, these guys are amazing, and he's developing the rapport. We see that. We're going to see that continue through the playoffs. Can Sam Darnold win a playoff game? If he wins 1, he's going to be in really good shape. If he wins 2, that's going to be amazing for his value. If he goes to the Super Bowl, Sam Darnold's value is going to skyrocket, but also the Vikings will not let him go.
If he well, because like they got the freaking Lions next week, so that's going to decide home field advantage for them. They could have home field advantage to the play. So if they beat the Lions, which I think most people don't think they're going to, but like, dude, they're going to give them a fight. They're a really good team there. They're fundamentally very sound. The defense coordinator, OC, everything is going very well for them. It's the perfect structure for a quarterback like Sam Darnold. So like he's just a cheaper version of Jared Goff is the way like I do this. Like Goff is in a similar situation. Everything's really good around him. He's consistently producing. Same thing with Baker Mayfield, even though their defense sucks, it makes him pass more. It's good. Because I'm looking at the quarterbacks, you get to like Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, QB17, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy. You get really high with Bo Nix,
What do you want?
Kyler Murray.
You want Purdy or Darnold?
I take Purdy because just the safety of the assurance with Shanahan, like I think it's fine. Like I know I don't have the the downside and like where he moves and where he goes. Purdy's going to be locked into a massive
No, I'm
contract.
saying we're assuming Darnold is in Minnesota.
I'll take Purdy, but it's close. Like I think it's debatable between the two of those guys. Yeah, like you could, like he's been really good. Like he's been producing an insane amount of touchdowns, and like there's also the touchdown regression, which will hit him at some point because his touchdown rate is really, really high. Oh, but we said this about Purdy. We've said this about Purdy 2 years ago. He has 7% touchdown rate, and he still had a really good touchdown rate this year. So it's like, you know what? Maybe these guys in good situations continue to overproduce. So you can do it. I think where is the cutoff point for you and Sam Darnold? Because I know you're much higher on him than I am.
Yeah, so Purdy's interesting. I take him over Purdy. Purdy's at QB 14, but I'm moving Baker up. I will not take him over Baker. Jared Goff is the really interesting cutoff point for me. Goff and Kyler Murray. I think we have Stroud. God. Yeah, probably Stroud. But then you got May, Caleb, Bo Nix. I'm not touching those guys, but it's like Murray, Goff, and Sam Darnold in that murky QB 15 area. And if Sam Darnold stays in Minnesota, I'm going Sam Darnold in most cases. But if he moves, I'm selling the crap out of him. I don't care what.
That's the thing. Like, so I think as the market will shift one way or the other on him. So if they find out he's getting moved, the market immediately tanks. Like I think that's how they view him, right? Like I don't think you're gonna be able to, because I feel like dynasty people are pretty smart. Like I'm not mean like tank guys. I mean you can't get what you're gonna get for him now, right? It's kind of the assumption. So
that's why you can only get a first for him now, maybe.
Yeah, like
you don't think you can get a first for him as a locked in, paid starting NFL quarterback?
Like, I just don't like if he's in Tennessee or something, or if he's in like one of these bad
Las
situations.
Vegas.
Yeah, I don't think because I think people are not gonna be convinced we're gonna get that production. Is my thought process. Like we're not, So I think that's the way I'm using it. So like, if I have these guys are uncertain, like, if he locked in the Vikings, then my whole thought process changes. Because like with these mid-range quarterbacks, the Goffs of the world, these guys, right? Like it should just be short-term production outside the elite guys, like similar to running backs, where it's like production, where it's the Joe Mixons, the Henrys, those type of players, right? Where you're getting good production. So if you want to take them over Penix, McCarthy, Lawrence, like I'm fine. I completely understand doing that. It's just like I just feel like there's just risk attached to it, is the way I look at
it. But and the only pushback I'll give you is what were people paying for Danny Jones when they assumed that the Giants were going to move on for him? He was still a first plus. You could still get a mid to back end first for him because he was locked into that role, right? Or at least assumed locked into that role. Sam Darnold is at least worth that where he goes somewhere. He's getting a contract, right? If he leaves Minnesota, that's the thing. He's getting a contract either way. So he's basically Baker Mayfield. I still want Baker above him, but in terms of like dynasty value, and that's valuable.
Yeah, like he's in that range right now where you could pivot off of, like you could swap it 1-for-1 for Dak, and like I think people would probably maybe be interested in that. And like it would shock me for either one of those guys out produce the other one. No,
for sure.
But like if he moves on, I'm clearly gonna take Dak, right? So it's like,
I
think there's just more, like there's more ability for it to go wrong where he's at right now. If that changes, then we boost him up. So I've never been a big Sam Darnold guy, so that's my issue with him. So I'm fighting myself on a side bias. So
I get it.
Whereas you're the Sam Darnold guy in our group, so it's like that's why you like him.
Hey.
All right, let's go on to our next game, the last one of the day, Atlanta and Washington. And my goodness, it's okay to answer your Penix, but remove your cousins first. Yowzer! That's quite the headline and tagline there.
We do our best.
Yeah, Penix was up or down on this game. That frozen rope he threw. It's a fourth down to get a play out. That shows you the arm talent he has, and that's something that Cousins does not have anywhere near that anymore. Like it was just that was a dart. People were impressed. Like I saw that, I was like, there's the Michael Penix I've seen at Washington,
and a good catch as well. A good catch on the other end.
It was good. I liked it. Yeah. So that was crazy. Like that play is just like holy shit. Last play of the game, they did it. Not too much to talk about here. Bijan was awesome. Shocker. Bijan did his thing. Drake London was really good. Yeah, another 13 targets. No big deal. Drake London has 140 targets. He's going to push over 150 targets for the year. Mooney's at 106. So Mooney's been really good. Number 2. Kyle Pitts came back to life for a second. He's just, what you're getting out Kyle Pitts. Just whatever with Kyle Pitts. I don't care about Kyle Pitts.
Got that touchdown.
He got a touchdown. Hold on. How many people started him? 38% of you saps started Kyle Pitts that were paid off.
I'm surprised, actually. That's high.
That does seem real high, right? Like that's nuts. This offense, it's I'm not saying it's the same structure as Minnesota, but it's a similar kind of scenario with Michael Penix. Like the pieces and everything around him is good. So you could talk yourself into the situation long term. So Penix is probably a really cheap dynasty buy if you want to do it. I don't know how high the upside is. That's my own question. Penix, because he's a fucking statue. The dude does not move like at all. So he's a super athlete, all that fun stuff. He just doesn't scramble. So you know what you got out of there. Compared to the flip side to Mr. Jaden Daniels. Oh my God. The offense runs through him. They'll make 16 carries, 127 yards. That's not a running back. That's your quarterback in Washington, folks. Because Brian Robinson, I don't know what the hell's going on with Brian Robinson. He's splitting work with Chris Rodriguez. Jeremy Nichols is chipping in. Yeah, I like Brian Robinson.
Still hurt. I feel like he's still hurt and just playing through it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. He's RB, 29 on the year? Like, it's fine. It's just, you drafted him in that range. You're probably a little disappointed. Alameda Zacchaeus, who SC was starting, and he paid off immensely. 8 receptions, 85 touchdowns. Like, SC, great call on that one.
Good work.
McLaurin was just an abysmal 1 for 7 day. Yeah, he got shut down. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, McLaurin, I think he's still top 12 wide receiver. Yeah, he's wide receiver 6 still, even when it's just an abysmal day for him. So, unfortunate is what it is. And Zach Ertz came back to life with 2 touchdowns, 72 yards. If you started Zach Ertz, who only 26% of people started Zach Ertz, if you did the championship, you probably won because he just cooked teams. Like that's well done. That's just bravo.
I was debating Zach Ertz or Michael Pittman. Turns out it wouldn't have mattered, but I should have taken Achane out. I should have taken Achane out and put Ertz in. That would have been nice. But yeah, I started Pittman. But who are we talking about? Washington here.
What, Daniels?
Yeah, what do they have going? I mean, look, they're going to be in the playoffs, right? But we don't expect them to do much, right? It's been a great run already for this team. But looking forward to next season, like what does this team need to do to build around? Because Terry McLaurin was shut down. Teams are going to be able to do this, and go ahead, Alameda Zacchaeus or Jamison Crowder or whoever is back there, get your 8 for 80 and a touchdown. We don't care. We're shutting down the weapons. And they're keeping this close, and they have the potential to beat this team. The only thing that's saving the Commanders is the magic of Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
But at some point, that magic is going to run out. So, like, how do they build around him for next season?
Yeah, like, they have the most free agent. Like, they did so many one-year deals this offseason. It's worked out because it's like their playoff team, so congrats to them. But they have a lot of stuff they have to do to, like, rebuild this and move on from here. And also, they need another wide receiver. Like, you have Terry McLaurin, and you have a bunch of dudes. And Luke McCaffrey has been nothing. Like, Noah Brown was okay. He got injured, but they need a number 2. Desperately need a number 2. Because you're throwing out freaking Jamison Crowder, Alameda Zacchaeus as your 2 and 3. Like, what are we doing here, folks? If they get another quality wide receiver, it's going to help out a lot with that offense. But it's a good setup. I mean, their defense needs a little bit of work, but the structure's there, man. You have one of the elite potential quarterbacks in the future. So you build around it, see how it works. I'm excited to see what they do this offseason. Should be a lot of fun. Who knows? Maybe he goes on a nice little run and, beats a team or 2 in the playoffs and they have a little fun. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to be Super Bowl contenders, unfortunately.
No.
Maybe next year. Yeah, that's a recap wrap up. We kind of talked about the games tonight, Detroit, San Francisco, 2 of the best teams in the NFL, even though San Francisco has clearly struggled. But you know what you're getting out of Detroit. It's Amon-Ra, Jameer, J-Mo, Laporta, all those guys. If you're starting Goff, you're good.
Yep. Fire them all up.
Yeah, and same time for San Francisco. Kittle, Debo, Juwan Jennings. Garendo's iffy, but whatever. Like you
not against Detroit. I really don't want to, but if you have to, he's not a terrible volume play. Hopefully you don't have to.
Yeah, hopefully he falls in the end zone. Because this game is going to be a lot of points. San Francisco can't, the question is, can San Francisco keep up with the Lions? I don't know.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. We're fan, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a recap. Oh, we're at hour 90. Yeah, folks. We gotta go. All right, let's go. All right, man. That's week 17. This is gonna be our last week of the season. We'll be doing stuff. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll be doing something. So
figure it out.
Is what it is. So yeah, stick with us. And yeah, we will talk to y'all later. So enjoy. Take care, folks. Listen up.